Welcome to Poker Vlog number 20. We already made it to 20. That's pretty exciting. Time flies. How many vlogs we've already done. And yeah, it's a Friday, so 2-5 is definitely going to be going on. So let's go right into the poker room and start playing. There's two 2-5 tables going on, but they're both full, so we'll have to play a little bit of 1-3 before we're able to switch. So we bind for 300, 200 in the pocket, and let's jump right into the first hand. First hand in, we got ace-9 suited in the button. Hijack makes it 6. That's way too small. I 3-bet him to 20, and only he calls, so heads up to a flop. Flop comes 3, queen, 4, so not the best. We don't really have much, but in a 3-bet pot, I tend to just put a small c-bet on the flop. Especially in 1-3, I don't think I'll get check raised enough or punished, so I make it $15 and he calls. Turn is a 7, and when he checks, we really don't have anything going on for us, and that brings in 5-6 for a straight. I check back. River is an ace. He checks, and I would top pair. I'd definitely be bluffing a lot on this river, and he just has $35 behind, so I go all in, and he folds. So we take down the first hand of the session. We get called for the promotion. That is a mystery chip. So on the next hand, we have queen 10 suited, but before we get into that, let's pull out a chip, and we get a pink chip. That's amazing. It's $250. That's the second best, since the biggest you could get is 500, but it's mostly 25 or 50. I get flipped, but yeah, for 250, I'm just taking it. So pretty amazing. Let's get back to the hand. Under the gun and under the gun 2 limps, so I make it $15. That was a mistake. With 2 limpers, I'd usually make it 20, but I'd make it 15. I get the big blind to call, and now first limper calls as well, but the second limper goes all in. It is just $32 though, so we're not going anywhere. Usually in this spot, I like to 4-bet a lot just to get the other players to fold, since they shouldn't be too strong just calling my raise, and they'll probably always fold to 4-bets. But in the moment with queen 10, I decide just to call, and a big blind and under the gun call as well, so 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes 9, 10, jack, so pretty good. We got middle pair, opening the straight draw, and a backdoor flush draw. Now the big blind leads out for $50. That is definitely pretty strong. 4 ways, and one player is all in, so he can't get us to fold and take down the main pot, since yeah, he's got to get the showdown with the all-in player. So when under the gun folds, I think just calling here what makes sense. I'm not folding, and he looks pretty strong. I think very likely top pair good kicker. 2 pairs, not too many sets, pocket 9s, but I think pocket jacks are 3-betting a lot pre-flop, and we're blocking pocket 10s. So yeah, we call. Let's see the turn. Turn is pretty good. It's a deuce of hearts, so now apart from our straight draw, we got a flush draw and the middle pair, but the big blind goes all in. He covers us, so that's $250, a pretty huge bet over the size on the pot onto us. And yeah, we just got so many outs. I don't think I could fold, because as well, I think if we hit a queen on the river, it's most likely good as well, since this seems pretty strong. I don't think he ever has a straight here, since it seems like it's a hand that is scared of the straight or the flush. So most likely 2 pairs, maybe ace jack, or there is the sets, but again, I don't think he has that many jacks. We're blocking 10, so definitely could be pocket 9s. But yeah, with just too many outs, I don't think I could fold. I call. River is a ace, so not one of our outs. The big blind flips over jack 10 for 2 pairs, so he'll take down the side pot, but not the main one, since the player that went all in pre-flop flips over king queen for flop straight. So yeah, pretty crazy hand. I looked it up after, and we would win this hand on after the turn 40% of the time. So even though we bet more than the pot, we're still getting a good price to call. So it just seems like one of those hands that we're just destined to get stacked. So yeah, we win $250 in promotions, but lose over $300. So we are down, but not that much, and we have plenty of time to go. So let's move on to the next hand. We buy in for $3 more $100, win for $600. We looked on a 10-9 suited in the big line. There's a total of 4 limpers, so I make it $25 and only under the gun call. So heads up to a flop. Flop comes king, ace, 5, so a pretty good board for us. I see it for $25 and he calls. Turn is another 5. Now I decided to slow down and check, because he did limp pre-flop, but it was under the gun, and he called my bet that was pretty big with plenty of people left to talk after. So even though he limped, he could be pretty strong. He could have plenty of aces that aren't folding. So I decided to check and see the good news when he checks back. River is a 7, so we have 10 high, and when I'm in a spot that I'm deciding if I should bluff or not, what I think is if I would be in this spot betting for value, and here I think I would. I think I still have plenty of aces that decide to check the turn, because every ace that's not a ace king or ace 5, I'll be chopping with. So maybe if I have any ace that of course isn't those, I'll check, because I don't think I'll get 3 streets of value from a king. And like that, I could bet the river, and I'm pot controlling just in case he has a 5. So in a spot that I do think I have an ace, I'm going to bet. I make it $50. He thinks for a little bit and see the good news when he does fold and we take it down. Always feel good getting those bluffs through. And what feels great as well is pocket aces in the button. There's 2 limpers. I make it $20, but things do not go how I was hoped since everybody folds and we take down $10 pre-flop. After this hand, we change seat to get a better view of the table. We looked down at pocket nines and under the gun 1. Under the gun makes it 15. That's not too big of a size, but it was for this player. He was making it $10, $12. So even though it's not that much, in the moment, it did feel stronger. So I don't have that much of a flattening range in this spot, but I didn't want to fold and I didn't want to 3-bet since, again, I felt like it was pretty strong. So I do call. Everybody else folds, so heads up to a flop. Flop comes queen, queen, deuce. He c-bets for $15. And as I said, I thought it was strong pre-flop, so I'm not loving this spot. But anyways, he could still have ace, king, or maybe he's betting that big with some other suited aces that don't have a queen, so I do call. Turn is a 3. He bets $15 again. That just makes me know that he doesn't have a queen. It seemed like, or A, he has ace, king that's trying to get cheap to a showdown, or he has a pocket pair that's just scared of the queen. So I do think he could have aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens here. So I don't want to just call and let him value bet better pocket pair. And he's pretty tight. So I decided to turn my hand into a bluff. Just in case he has ace, king, he'll just fold those. And I do think if I bet big on the river after this, I'll get all of his pocket pairs to fold. They're just scared of the queen. So I do turn my hand into a bluff. I make it $50. He says a remark that, oh, I'm not going to go down this route again, and does end up folding. So I wouldn't be surprised if I got him to fold a bit of pocket pair because, as I said, he is pretty tight and we have plenty of queens. I'll play this way and we take it down. And with that, we hear that we got a seat for the 2-5. So we rack up and let's head over to the table. Hopefully we run a little better over there and let's jump right into the first hand. We're in a hijack with 10-9 suited. Under the gun 2 makes it 15. I 3-bet to 45 and I get the button, small blind, and under the gun 2 to call. So definitely trying to isolate does not work since we go 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes jack 5-3 and now checks the under the gun 2 who leads out for just $25. So definitely super weird. And yeah, if your head's up in position, I'd definitely consider calling since it does seem pretty weak. It's a super small bet and maybe on good turns I could try to bluff or, you know, maybe even hitting the 10 is good. I don't know if he's doing this for the jack, but anyways, 4 ways. I got 2 players left to talk after me. I just fold. Let's move on to the next hand. Now we're in a big line with pocket jacks. Low jack makes it 20 and he gets the cutoff and button to call. So always 3-betting here. I make it $120 and everybody folds. And yeah, happy with that. Easy $60. And that brings us to an upgrade when we look down at pocket kings. I'm in a button and there's 3 limpers. So I make it $30 and only get the hijack to call. So heads up to a flop. Flop comes jack 10-5. So pretty good. He limp pre-flop. So I don't think he ever has jacks or 10s. So right now, we're just losing. It's jack 10 and pocket 5. So let's get value from all of the hands we're beating. I make it $40. That's definitely on a bigger side since I want to try my best to be able to get all in by the river if he does have top pair. So that's what I do. And he does call. Turn is a 4. He checks and let's build a pot. I make it $100, hoping that he has a jack since now probably going to be start folding his middle pair. And we should have good news when once again he calls. River is great. It's another 4 that pairs the board. So if he did flop 2 pair, we're beating that as well. He checks and he has $360 behind. That is a little bit over the pot, but first time playing against this player, but for what I saw, it just seemed like he wouldn't fold top pair. So let's go for max value. I go all in. He thinks for a little bit and does put in the call. We show and we are good. We finally take in a pretty good pot. Definitely needed for how things have been going. So things are looking better. Let's move on. Now we're in a hijack with ace deuce suited. I make it $15 and get a cutoff, small blind, and big blind to call. So 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes jack 8-9. So I have the nut flush draw, but definitely a board that the opponent should have about 2 pairs, straights, set. So when it checks to me, I decide to check with my nut flush draw. So like that as well, if the flush comes in, I'll have that in my checking range. And I just felt like if I bet, I'll get check raised a lot, especially 4 ways. So that's what I do. And the cutoff does bet. He makes it $45. It falls to us and definitely a bet on the bigger side for being 4 ways. But yeah, we're not going nowhere. We call. Turn is pretty bad. It's another 9. So it pairs the board. I check. He bets $75. That definitely looks very strong. So I never consider raising here. He bet the flop 4 ways, big, and is barreling the turn. So I'm just calling. Hopefully we could hit a diamond. And of course that he does not have a full house. So that's what we do. But we get no help since the river is a 6 of clubs. So when I check and he bets $150, that definitely looks super strong. I wouldn't be surprised if he does have a full house. I'm just folding with my ace high, so that's what I do, and he takes it down. Now we're in a big blind with pocket threes, and fun fact, 33 is my favorite number, so it's always fun playing this hand, but of course, I'm not going to get out of line to do so, but I will not have to do that in this hand, since under the gun limps, so does the buttons. When it gets to me, I'm happy checking, so that's what we do. And my pocket threes do not disappoint. Flop comes deuce, 3, 7, we flop middle set, and I check here, hoping someone bets and I get check raise, but sadly that does not happen since it checks around. Turn is a 6, that brings another flush, and now 4 or 5 is a straight, and definitely risky slow playing sets this much, but I felt like now with so many draws, definitely one of them would bet, so that's what I do, and they do not disappoint since under the gun bets $20, folds to us, and let's go with the plan. I check raise at 60, and he calls. River is a jack, and I'm going to bet big here since a lot of draws miss, and hopefully because of that, he'll here call me with whatever he has. I make it $175. He thinks for a little bit, but sadly does end up folding, and we take it down. Let's play with a better pocket pair. Pocket 10s in the button. Low jack makes it 25, folds to us, and if he would have made it a regular size like 15 or 20, I'd definitely 3-bet a lot. But when people make bigger sizes than usual pre-flop, I definitely get a little worried and go on a safe route since a lot of players, they just bet bigger with their better hands. So being in position, I decide to call and the blinds fold. So heads up to a flop. Flop is pretty great. 9, 6, 8. So we have a gut shot and an overpair. So when he bets $30, I'm not going anywhere. I call. Turn is pretty bad. It's a king that brings in the flush and is an overcard to our pocket pair, and he keeps it going. I bet $80. So definitely not loving the spot, especially after the fact I bet bigger pre-flop. But we have a gut shot and a flush draw since we have a 10 of spades. Maybe if he didn't have those draws, I'd stop folding my pocket 10s. But with all that going on for us, I'm not going anywhere. I call. River is another 9. So now apart from the flush and the king or pocket pairs better than ours, we're losing against 9s as well. But we see the good news when he checks, and I'm happy checking back here. So that's what I do. And he flips over pocket 3s. So our pocket 10s are good. Now we know that this player, when he bets $25, it definitely doesn't mean he has premiums, and we take it out. Now the straddle is going on, and we looked on an ace queen suited and under the gun 1. I make it $30 and only get under the gun straddler to call, so heads up to a flop. Flop comes 6, 4, 9, so we got the nut flush drawn, 2 overcards. When it checks to me, if it was against most players, I'd definitely be betting here, but this player under the gun, he is one of the better regs here, and he is very aggressive. So I know that he knows that this board doesn't hit my range since I raised early position in a straddle pot, so I am pretty tight. So I wouldn't be surprised if I bet here and he's going to start check raising me since he has all the sets, he has all the 2 pairs, and I don't have any 2 pairs. I'm probably folding pocket 4s pre-flop too since people are 3-betting a lot, so I'm not loving raising early positions with pocket 4s. Yeah, pocket 6s and pocket 9s, but apart from that, he just has way better hands on this board. So I decided to pot control and I check back. And I'm instantly regretting my decision when the turn is a king of spades. So we have the nut flush and he bets, he makes it $40. And here's where I'm not loving how I played it since I decided just to call. My thought process behind that was that I felt like he'd be bluffing a lot because, as I said, I felt like the flop was better for him. But the turn was a king. So maybe if the turn was not a Broadway card, or at least not an ace or a king, that is just way better for us. When he bets this turn, I just feel like he's saying that he is not scared that I have a king. So he's beating 1-paired hands with a king. So that would be 2 pairs, straights. Well, there's no straights, but 2 pairs, flush, sets. So I would have preferred raising here and trying to build a pot against those. Sure, we're folding random bluffs, but at least we're building pots against those stronger hands. I definitely don't think are folding, and especially because I checked the flop, and I feel like definitely a lot of people just always will bet the flush draw on the flop. So he may think that I'm overvaluing my 1-paired hand, the ace king, king queen. But as I said, in the moment, I do just call. River is another king. So if he had 2 pairs with a king or a set, we're losing against those now. And now he bets $115. That is basically a pot-sized bet. And yeah, this is definitely interesting. In the moment, I just felt like he had a bluff or a full house or a flush. And if I raised, I thought that a lot of times weak flushes would start folding since I don't think I have any bluffs in this spot. And he's a pretty good player. So I was worried if I raised in this spot, especially since he made it a big size, I would just only get called by a better. So I do call, and he does have a worst flush. I'm not sure if it was 5-3 or 7-3, but definitely a small flush. And this hand got me a little frustrated since I definitely won the minimum. This could have been a pretty huge pot, flush over flush against this player. And yeah, if I would have bet the flop or raise the turn. Doesn't mean that checking a flop is a bad decision just because this time he did have a flush. The turn, I do think it's a raise, but yeah, let me know what you would have done. And altogether, I'm definitely not a fan of how I played it, but let's not let the frustration get to us. Let's try to keep on playing our game and move on to the next hand. Now we're in a big blind with King Jack off. The cutoff makes it 20, folds to us, happy calling here, so that's what I do. Probably pretty good, 5-3 kings, so top pair, jack kicker. When I check, he bets $20 and I call. Turn is a 9. I check and he checks back. River is a 6. I said to check here since I felt like he could just have a lot of ace high or just air. That if I check the river as well, he may just put me on a flop, middle pair, bottom pair and try to bluff me off of it. So that is what I do. And he bets. He makes it $80. Definitely a big size, pot size bet. So I snap call. And he flips over 10-9. So he turned a pair and seems like it was value. But yeah, definitely a big size to go for value with a 9. But happy with it. We take it down. Now we're playing 5-handed because we're on the must move. So they moved a lot of players to the main game. And we're going to pocket 9s in the cutoff. Under the gun makes it $35. That is a 7x raise. It is huge. And I was pretty confused since this is the reg and he always has one size. I later found out that he got confused and thought the straddle was going on. So that makes a lot of sense. But in the moment, I didn't know what to think about it. So I just call. Everybody else folds, heads up to a flop. Flop comes 3, 7, 10. He c-bets for $50 and there is an overcard to a pocket pair, but we can't be folding against one bet. We call. Turn is a 3. That brings it into flush. That's not the best, but he checks. That's good news. And I'm happy checking back here since I do think he may be pocket trolling with hands that beat pocket 9. So that's what I do. River is an ace. That's not the best. And he does bet. He makes it $150. So not loving this spot. But as I said, this player is pretty aggressive, and I do think he'll be using this scare card to try to bluff me off of all my hands that I do seem pretty weak. It just seems like I have one pair as I do. So in a spot that I do think he'll be bluffing a lot with this card, I do call, but it's not the case in this situation since he flips over ace king for top pair, top kicker, and he takes it down. Now I'm going to cut off with ace 7 suited. I make it $15, get a small blind and big blind to call. So 3 ways to a flop. Flop is pretty good. Ace, queen, king. So top pair, 7 kicker, nut flush draw. I like betting here, getting value from the kings and the queens. Sure, small blind could have jack 10, king, queen. Has a stronger range than a big blind, but altogether, I don't mind that because if she does check raise us, we have the nut flush, so we're happy calling. But don't ask me why. Today's a session of checking back the flush draws, and that's what I do in this spot. So let's see the turn. And I'm regretting my decision again when the turn is a 5 of hearts, so we have the nuts. Small blind bets $20, big blind calls, and I'm not slow playing this. Especially small blind could have straights, you could have 2 pairs, you could have flushes that won't fold a raise. I make it $80. But it doesn't seem the case since they both pretty quickly fold. And this brings us to the hand that may be one of my worst calls ever. Let's do it. Now we're 4-handed. The button makes it $20 and I'm in the big blind with ace 4 off and I call. Little backstory before we jump into it that I do think affected my decision. 1, he is a friend of the reg, so it seems like they play a lot together. Seems like he knows what he's doing. And 2, he was asking me questions about the vlog, joking around about it. So I kind of felt like he was just more prone to try to bluff me since he wanted to do it while I was filming. Doesn't mean it's the case. That just was on my mind while we were playing this hand. Flop comes 4, 5, 9. So bottom pair, ace kicker. When I check and he bets $25, I don't think I could be going anywhere once I hit the board. So I call. Turn is a 7. I check and he bets $75. And with 2 flush draws on the board, I felt like my 4 could still be good here. And he was just barreling with a draw. So once again, I call. River's another 7. I check and now he bets. He makes it $500. That's 2x the size of the pot. Now I was just, what the hell is going on? I am definitely not expecting that. I don't usually ever see such huge sizes, especially in this pot. I feel like I look pretty weak. I'm just in check calling mode. If I had 2 pairs, if I had sets, I would most likely have raised by now since it looks like we're pretty weak. So that's what I'm thinking about. I just felt like he would never be bidding this big for value, especially because I look so weak and there's so many missed draws. So this is when I start thinking about how he was joking around about I'm making vlogs and how he just wants to bluff me off of a hand. So he's beating me on the vlog. Probably not the case. But that's what I was thinking because this size makes no sense. I just wasn't expecting anybody to bet this huge for value when I look so weak. So that just sticked in my mind over and over and over and over again. And you know where this is going. I put in the call and he flips over pocket sevens. So he definitely went for value with a 2x pot with the runner quads. So our pair of fours, well, two pairs with a 7 are definitely not good. And with that, we are in the red and we are about to leave. That makes it so much nastier. So yeah, that brings us to the last hand of the session. We're in a small blind with ace king off. The button to reg makes it $20, so I 3-bet, I make it 80, and he calls, so heads up to a flop. Flop comes 4, 6, 7, so definitely not the best. At least we have the ace of clubs with a backdoor flush. And as I said previously, against this player, I'd probably like to check a lot here since this is way better for him. But in the moment, I was definitely out of it after this last hand. So I kind of went in automatic mode. And when I 3-bet pre-flop, I usually just put out a c-bet. So that's what I do. I make it $50 and he does raise as expected since he is pretty aggressive. Makes it 180. And yeah, I probably should be calling here, I guess, since I have the ace of clubs. But in the moment, I had just lost a bunch of money with my bottom pair of fours. I got crazy sticky. I was not in a mood to lose a lot more money with an ace high, so I do just fold. And I was planning on playing another 15 minutes, but in this table 5-handed, those two players, they seem pretty good, and I was super out of it. I just felt like I was losing money in this spot with how I was feeling. I was not playing my best and it wasn't the best game. So I decided to rack up 15 minutes early. So yeah, let's cash out and see how we did. All right, so in the car, because I lost track of how much I was in for, but playing poker down $600, $250 of promotion brings us down $350 for the day. And yeah, I'm pretty frustrated. Last few vlogs that I filmed that I lost, it's just all towards the end. That definitely hurts a little more. And yeah, especially because again, I make a huge call, and just lately, these vlogs that I'm down, it's because I just call too much. But yeah, I talked about that during the vlog. I don't want to get back into it. We're just gonna call it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that was fun, even though it wasn't that much for me. But that's poker, you know, it is what it is. We'll just get back at it next week. This wasn't the best week. I think with today we're down a little bit or breaking even. We added last week was really good, thankfully. So we're still doing okay for the month, and we got 2 weeks to go since we're halfway through it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If, as always, you can like, comment, that always helps. And I'm always happy to talk about hands. If you could subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.